Welcome back. We're still talking transparency and open government in Nigeria. We have this tweet from Ukmong. At Ukmong says, seeing how transparent the government can be in highlighting how the tax in UK was spent is worth emulating. He broke it down into three. So he says, my tax clearance certificate only tells me what Nigeria's government is taken, not how it is spent. I should know it. I should know how my 4.5 million naira yearly tax is being used. That's how to be transparent.
Very true.
Okay, government is probably listening and is going to start doing something about all of that.
I hope so.
Because, if for nothing else, because they want more people in the tax net. And if we persist in asking to know what our taxes are being used for, I don't suppose government has a choice.
It's also
What do you think?
It's election period.
It's election period. The best of conduct and practices are now...
I already put in abeyance. You know, Nigerians will just do elections. After an election, instead of democracy dividends coming in, we start another election again. So we are just a nation of elections.
Talking about elections.
Without governance.
What's the question?
2019 is round the corner. Do you think, from the signs you're seeing, is enough being done to give us a transparent, fair election in 2019? And are the people, have they been mobilized enough to actually come out and take part in those elections?
I would think that, I don't think the Nigerian people are waiting for the government any longer. I believe that the Nigerian people are conscious of the fact that if there's going to be any progress, any shift from where they are, that must be a function of their own resolve. And you could see this, you can monitor it on the social media, in the interactions, statements, reactions of the people. But at the heart of that determination is precisely what I asked about capacity. The body may be willing, the capacity to sustain that effort in such a manner and such an extent to bring about the change that we talk about may not be there. That is the unfortunate thing.
Malaki,
yes.
we've had a guest sit in this very chair and describe to us something that he witnessed to demonstrate how far the rigging had gone. That agents were waiting and they had already bribed all the officials and agents and everything. So they wait for you to go in to vote. You vote and you show them what you have voted. And on your way out, they hand you some money. Yeah. And I'm saying, so the other party's agents also set themselves up to be bribed.
That's correct. That's a valid question. The corresponding question is, those who know about this, I'm aware that your smartphones are not seized on election day and at election polls. How much are you doing to capture that? And what is the capacity that you have in terms of referring that same criminal activity to the law enforcement agencies and see that it is followed through? Section 150.
Malaki, you speak as if you don't belong to this country. Did Ibrahim Mantu not confess that he took part in electoral fraud?
I have mentioned that. I said that they now come out to confess. They wouldn't have come out. After all, when he made that confession, he concluded, it was on your station, he concluded that there was a reason why he's making that confession. And if you remember, what he said was that he has got tired of being stigmatized and seen as a rogue. I watched that clip severally. All over the world, seen like a rogue. Why would he be seen like a rogue? It is precisely because of the efforts. You might think it is minimal, but it's gradually itching in. It is gradually paying off. There are efforts being made to not just uncover perpetrators of these crimes. There are efforts by the society to isolate those people. And if we keep at it and remain vigilant, which is the price we must pay for the liberty we have secured, this will come when it will be completely impossible, out of fashion, to begin to think that you go to election and the only thing you have, instead of educating the people, is to be giving them money. Look, we are gradually...
How much?
The problem is that we've gone
to enslave them for 4 years.
We've
For 4
gone
years,
far.
10,000 naira.
We've gone
Or
far into
5,000.
that's people you are charitable to. They give as little as 2,000, 1,000.
For the next 4 years, you are a slave.
The election monitoring body, under Section 150 of the Electoral Act 2010, as amended, is empowered to prosecute. They have complained that they don't have as much resources as to go into that. What is a government that professes to fight corruption and impunity? What are they doing to activate that section?
How can we bring a question of crowdfunding to support, crowdfunding, for instance, to support such bodies?
Take that again.
Crowdfunding.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you hear that somebody is sick and then everybody goes out, they're raising money, sourcing funds to support that person in seeking. So can't that election monitoring body, for instance, be looking at a way of crowdfunding?
I have. If you recall, in the
Even
past,
if it's 100 naira.
in
It's
the
100 naira.
recent past,
You know.
that same body, not under the leadership of this present one, had approached NBA, Nigerian Bar Association, and said, this is one area we have challenges, and this is one area in respect of which we think that you can professionally assist and be of some benefit. Let us collaborate. They indeed went into it. NBA, looking at their members, started identifying those who could volunteer. Yours, humbly, was written a letter. I wasn't in the NEC meeting at Akura, but I received my letter to be one of such. From the moment that letter was written, and I tried to find out, up to today, there isn't one single case of electoral offense firmed out to any lawyer. So the will may be there. Look, a lot depends on the sincerity of the drivers of the process.
Okay, so
And the quantum of pressure that we are mounting to ensure that those things.
Mr. Dokpolo,
do
so
happen.
from what we see here now, both the umpire, the monitor, and the players in the field, the players here being those seeking election and those voting them in, are not transparent in their operation. So how can we move forward?
I think that as a people, we must not despair or become despondent. If the number of people who are suddenly being interested in their PVCs actually go out to vote, it will not be as easy as it has ever been to corrupt the system. So that, you know, we've seen it in other parts of the world. When the people, I mean, Malaysia is fresh. That guy didn't believe for his life that he was going to lose that election.
Yeah.
But he lost it. I have friends from Malaysia, and it was clear. They said,
Liberia.
yes, this guy is corrupt.
Sierra Leone.
He cannot win. And he lost. So I think that the people of Nigeria should rise up to this challenge. And it's just as easy as each person ensuring that you go out to vote and that your vote, this is my polling booth here. We always ensure you declare the results before we leave.
Yeah.
All right? That's one. Two, I think also that there is a vacuum in Nigeria right now. There's a demand for statesmen.
Yes.
Nigeria is lacking
Yes.
statesmen. You talk about crowdfunding. If anybody can stand out of the pack and has an ounce of sincerity and integrity, that fellow can raise millions and billions of naira for elections. The question is, who is that person that can step out and say, hey, here I am, and then people will scrutinize.
I'm ready to serve.
Yes, I'm willing to serve, and you have a track record. Let it not be that your first act of service is this desire to become whatever. All right, so, you know, so if you look at, you know, who's going to, I mean, we talk about, you know, who possible candidates for the next elections, and we don't really have anybody yet that we're talking about, apart from, you know, maybe one or two people here. So I think that it's an opportunity.
The incumbent.
Yes, you know, I think it's an opportunity for people with credible record and background to step forward, and they can be funded. Crowdfunding is easy. It's possible.
Now,
Yeah.
there is limitation in terms of how much funds a political party can use, for example. But the question is, has INEC ever enforced it? We also need to democratize the electoral space. In 2005, I was at the National Political Reform Conference in the Civil Society Group. In 2009, I was at the Vision 2020. In 2014, I was at the National Conference. In each of these conferences or talk shops, we recommended independent candidacy or candidature. Allow people who are loved by their people
to put themselves
up for an election. They need not belong to a political party. The reason they are killing themselves in the political party, trying to win the heart and soul of a political party, is to control it. Because when you control the head, then you control the process and the body. That is why you see mere congresses turning into cases of arson, murders across the country. But if these people know that
they can go on their own.
A popular individual can go to his community and say, hello, I want to be your senator. This is my track record. I have done this and this for you people even when I was not in politics, when I was not seeking for your votes. I sank a borehole for you. I built a cottage hospital for you. I built a maternity home for you. I built a cottage industry for you. I gave scholarship to many of the desiring impoverished students. Now, I want you to vote me in. The people will look at his track record and say, that man is genuine. Let us vote him in. But under the present situation, you must belong to a political party. Whether the political party is bad or not, you must belong to it. So we'll find two leading political parties, which are actually the same 6.5 dozen, the same Hamlet and the Prince of Denmark.
6.5 dozen.
You can't differentiate between them because the populace of one were once the populace of the other. And even as we have been seeing in the last 1 year already, when they get angry, they decamp back to their former political party and they will say, I'm going home. Nobody builds a house and allows strangers to come and occupy it. So we are suffering the fate of the Baba's chair of perpetual motion without progress. So the government needs to show the capacity, the will, the sincerity to drive a process that is credible, that is faithful, that is clear, that is transparent, that is honest, that is believable, that is acceptable.
Okay.
Anything outside this, we are just having not elections, but selections. So 2019 will be a very trying time for Nigeria.
Thank you very much. We've been discussing open governance in Nigeria, and in the studio we had Mr. Michael Zekome, constitutional lawyer and human rights activist, Malaki Gumadu, a legal practitioner as well, President Committee for Defense of Human Rights, and Mr. Noroy Dokpolo, a development expert. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts. Just before we go on this break, we have this tweet from Onyebuchi Onya, and he says in two parts. He says, for a credible voting process, I think polling unit officers should wear body cams recording every event of a day's polls. At the end of the day, the officer's body cam would be uploaded to a central database at INEC and reputable third parties for disaster recovery and integrity purposes. If there's a litigation concerning any polling unit, footage from the body counts for that day's voting from the 3 polling station officers would serve more than enough evidence. And there we would anchor for now. Thank you so much. Sunrise will be back in a moment with Etiquette with Janet. Don't go away.